Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we will be discussing how to evaluate this question. For which of the following values of k does the limit as x approaches k of sine x plus sine x cosine squared x all over sine x cosine x equals to -2? So we have our following choices. A is pi over 2, B is pi, C is 3 pi over 2, and D is 2 pi. So in this question, essentially all they're really asking you to do is to solve for x. And when does it equal to -2? The limit is just a little bit of a special way for them to, kind of throw you off. So we can just kind of take out the limit and figure out what x can be, and then we can figure out what x needs to approach in order for you to solve this problem. So let's just rewrite our value. So we have sine x plus sine x cosine squared x all over sine x cosine x, and then it equals to -2. Now, if I take a look at the numerator, they both have a term sine x, so we can go and factor that out. So we have sine x times 1 plus cosine squared x. Okay. And all of this is over sine x cosine x. Okay. Now we can cancel out a sine x. Okay. And then this is still equals to -2. Okay. Now that we have this part right here, we can take a look at, 1 plus cosine squared x. It looks like a trig identity, but it's not. So we can just leave that alone. Now, if we want to get x by itself, we need to go and get rid of this denominator. So I'm going to go and multiply both sides by cosine x so that we can rewrite it. So we have 1 plus cosine squared x. And then when we multiply cosine to both sides, this would equal to -2 cosine x. Okay. Now this, remember, you cannot divide ever by a trig value. So we're going to move this over by adding 2 cosine x, and then we're going to rewrite this. So we have cosine squared x plus 2 cosine x plus 1 equal to 0. Now that we have this looks like a quadratic, and now we can factor. Okay, we can factor this one into cosine x plus 1 cosine x plus 1 equal to 0, and they're both the same. So now we basically need to have cosine x plus 1, right? We need to figure out what value this would turn into a 0, okay? So we can go and do that. We can rewrite this as cosine x plus 1 squared. Okay, so we can have cosine x plus 1 squared equal to 0. Okay. Now we can square root both sides, and this would just give me cosine x plus 1 equal to 0. Let me go and bring this up, so give me a little bit more room. I want cosine x plus 1 equal to 0. That means I also want cosine x equals to -1 by subtracting 1 on both sides. Now, thinking back to our unit circle, what value of x is going to give you a -1 for cosine? Okay? If we draw a little unit circle to help us out right here, okay? Cosine is the x value. So it is going to be, -1 at the x value when it reaches this point right here. And this point here is going to be pi radians. So this would be x equals to pi. Okay? And this is the value that you want for k. Okay? you want the limit as x approaches pi so that our original value, okay, sine x plus sine x cosine squared x all over sine x cosine x equals to -2. Okay, and if we look back at our choices, that is the answer B. Okay, hope that helped. If you need any other topics to get covered, feel free to send me a message, and I'll see you in the next video.